Family Affair is a television program from my youth that I absolutely cherish for a number of different reasons. Growing up, the show was required viewing in my home. Heartwarming, funny, and just a little bit sad. Yep, you heard me. It was a tiny bit melancholy as well. How could it not be? This family was cobbled together through tragedy. Way back then, my sister and I thought the show was actually called Buffy and Jody. They were our two favorite characters. I think we loved them because, while we weren't twins, we were only 10 months apart from each other in age, and we identified with them. Anisa Jones and Johnny Whittaker originally weren't supposed to be twins, but when the casting directors saw those two kids together, well, scripts were rewritten, and the rest, as they say, is television history. So, with all that said, let's talk about the cast members and what happened to them individually after the show ended. Much like the program itself, it's a mixed bag of triumph and tragedy. Let's start with Anisa Jones. Man, she was cute. I won't comment on that Mrs. Beasley doll here, other than to say that I didn't like it. My sister had one as well, and I did my best to hide it from her whenever I could. That thing just gave me the creeps. Sadly, Anissa passed away before her life really even got started. She was just 18 when she succumbed to an accidental overdose of drugs. I've heard it said that she fell into the wrong crowd during her teens, although I don't know the specifics. What I do know is that it is a darn shame that we lost this talented young lady so early in life. After Family Affair, Johnny Whittaker continued to find work in both movies and television shows. I remember him in things like Napoleon and Samantha and Tom Sawyer on the big screen. And I am a huge fan of Sigmund and the Sea Monsters, a live-action Saturday morning TV show that he starred in for years on NBC. As he approached adulthood, Johnny served a 2-year mission for his church, got married, and started a family. However, when that marriage came unraveled, Johnny had his own setback with drugs. Fortunately for him, Johnny had friends and family who acted with haste and held an intervention where they urged him to acknowledge his addictive behaviors and get help. Johnny has been clean and sober for a long time now, and to his credit, he has become a certified drug addiction counselor. Whenever possible, he speaks publicly about his own trials in hopes that his experiences might be beneficial to others. On Family Affair, Kathy Garver was great as the twins' big sister, Sissy. She was so kind and warm-hearted in the show, the kind of big sister that everyone wanted. Although she may not have found the same level of immediate success that Johnny found after Family Affair ended, her career has also been extremely successful, and her life's journey has been a very happy one. That's not to say that she hasn't had challenges, but it just seems like this lady put her life together early on, and because of that, there's been way more good times than bad. In addition to her work on screen, Kathy has written books, including an autobiography that sheds a great deal of light on her life while making Family Affair. And along with biographer Fred Asher, Kathy has co-written a book that provides updates on many of the child stars from some of my favorite TV shows growing up. And of course, along with Sissy, I will always remember Kathy in the role of Firestar on the 80s Saturday morning animated series, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. And I also remember hearing not too long ago about a new web series that Kathy had been working on called Aunt Sissy. In the new show, Sissy now lives in Los Angeles. She's about to retire when, wouldn't you know it, her twin niece and nephew show up on her front door needing a place to stay. Sounds a bit familiar, don't you think? Turning our attention to Brian Keith, I think his story is the most complex and some might say the saddest, although that is strictly a matter of opinion. Sure, his life was full of triumphs. I loved him in the classic Disney movie The Parent Trap, and then later on in the 80s, I thought he was absolutely great in the television show Hardcastle and McCormick. But that's not to say that he didn't have challenges as well. A couple of the biggest ones that Brian faced were the passing of his daughter Daisy, who took her own life when she was in her late 20s, as well as his ongoing health battles with lung cancer. Ultimately, it was all just too much for Brian, who also took his own life just months after his daughter died. In the note that was left, he indicated that he wanted to be with Daisy again. Last but definitely not least, let's talk about Sebastian Cabot for a minute. Cabot actually had some health issues while filming Family Affair. If you're a fan of the show, you may recall that Giles' brother Niles was introduced during the first season. He worked for the Davis family for 9 episodes in 1967, while Giles was said to be touring with the Queen. So like I said, the feller just wasn't in the best of health, and I have to believe that contributed to his massive stroke that killed him in 1977. In addition to his work as Mr. French, I also quite liked Sebastian in the 1973 TV movie remake of Miracle on 34th Street. In that movie, Sebastian is wonderful as Santa Claus, and while it's not quite as good as the 1947 classic, it is still enjoyable, with a super fun cast that includes Roddy McDowall and a pre-Good Morning America, David Hartman. So there you go. That's what happened to the cast of Family Affair. Unfortunately, many of them are no longer with us. But that said, we can still celebrate their lives through the wonderful entertainment that they have left behind. Anyway, please share your memories in the comments section. And while you're at it, I'd love a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and I would be absolutely honored if you would consider subscribing to my channel. I talk about music, movies, and mostly television from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. You know, the good stuff. But most importantly, and as always, thank you so much for watching.